Hey there folks, as you can see from the title, I have 10 great and underappreciated perk combos for you to try today. We often find ourselves using the same 4 perks over and over again, and although these metas are effective, they can start to become stale and repetitive after a while, so it's time to shake things up and provide some nice alternatives for you to try yourself. These are in no particular order, and I'm sure some of you out there will have figured out to put all these perks together yourself, but here's my list to add some variety to your survivor games. These are 2 perks that don't get a lot of love, but work beautifully together if used correctly. The way this works is you want to use Smash Hit to get a pallet stun on the killer, granting you 50% haste for 4 seconds after doing so. You want to use that time to make some distance and lose line of sight. This is where parental guidance comes in, as once you get a pallet stun you'll leave no scratch marks for 7 seconds, effectively letting you make distance, and the killer will have a much tougher time tracking where you've gone. This works best in an indoor map, as there are more places to hide momentarily, as well as being healthy so the killer can't track your pulls of blood or grunts of pain. The best part about this perk combo is that it's completely free of charge, which can't be said about a lot of these perk combinations unfortunately. Kindred by itself is an absolutely amazing perk and a fantastic tool of information. It could potentially be a lifesaver in solo queue, giving teammates information you cannot communicate to them. Now most of us know how Kindred works, but when paired with open-handed, it doubles its range from 16 meters to 32 meters, giving you an absolutely gigantic amount of covered space for aura reading, provided they aren't a stealth killer or undetectable obviously. An honourable mention is also pairing open-handed with the perk like Wiretap, allowing you to put an aura reading device on the generator for 2 minutes or until the killer kicks that gen. I just wanted to pair these 2 free perks together for this combo, as not to forget those that don't want to spend any money. This perk combo is quite devious, and honestly a surefire way to get under the killer's skin. Here's how it goes. Work on your generator of choice for about 40% worth of progress, in order to get Blast Mine ready to prep. Then when the killer comes over to kick the gen, Blast Mine goes off and residual manifest activates, affecting the killer with the blindness status effect, which means they cannot see the auras of generators, hooks or survivors for 30 seconds. You're not going to get super amazing value with this perk, but it's pretty funny, and if used correctly, it's a great counter to perks like Nowhere to Hide or Nurse's Calling, or whatever aura reading add-ons the killer might be using in those 30 seconds. As an added bonus, Residual Manifest also allows you to rummage through an open chest, with a guarantee that you'll get a flashlight to help your teammates. Just please don't spend the entire game shining the flashlight in the back of the killer's head, or I am just going to leave you on hook. Another thing to note is to just be careful if the killer knows it's you that brought Blast Mine, as they're probably going to want you dead. These perks work quite nicely in tandem with each other and could be clutch in endgame situations. The only prerequisite to this combo is that you have to heal another survivor first in order to activate Conviction. I will admit that sometimes it's kind of difficult to get value from it unless you have a friend to distract the killer while down on a pallet or if you get slugged. But if you do, it can be the difference between getting hooked or not, or even making it through the exit gate. Conviction allows you to get yourself back up for when your recovery bar is at least 25% progress, but remember you only have a short 30-second window before going down again. In most situations, the killer is not going to expect you to have Soul Guard, which gives you the endurance when recovering from the dying state, allowing you to take an extra hit. An honourable mention to run with these combos is a perk like Plot Twist, which will negate the 30-second window in which you will go down after you trigger Conviction, allowing you to be fully healed instead. There are plenty of aura read builds out there, but when these 2 are paired together, it seems to be the most effective for me with the least amount of effort required. Whenever the killer performs a break action like breaking gens or kicking doors and pallets, Alert activates and gives you map-wide aura reading for 5 seconds, but stacked with Eyes of Belmont it gives you an extra 2 seconds of aura reading on top, as well as revealing the aura of the killer after a generator is completed. With these 2 perks alone, you are practically going to know where the killer is the entire game and give you valuable information for the longest time with practically no downside. It's also a very good way to see if the killer is double backing or trying to cut you off while looping a tall structure. Other honourable mentions to pair with these 2 are perks like Inner Focus and Poised. I'm sorry, I'm still laughing at the fucking Nazi picture. What is this? What the fuck is this? I don't really recommend running totem builds personally, but if I was going to pick a couple to use, it would certainly be these 2. After cleansing a dull totem, overzealous gives a 10% repair speed to generators, and this speed is doubled if you manage to cleanse one of the killer's hex totem perks instead. Now this effect is lost once you lose a health state, but if you manage to escape chase or get away from the killer in that time, since you've previously cleansed a totem, you have a free heal you can use with inner strength, which allows you to become fully healed after spending 8 seconds in a locker, allowing you to start the build all over again. It's best that you bring a map with these 2 perks, with the add-ons Sharpened Flint and Battered Tape, which not only tracks the locations of totems for you, but extends the range of the map by 8 meters, just so you're not spending the entire game looking for totems. These 2 perks not only counter hex builds, but also give you the benefit of increased gen speeds and allowing your teammates to do objectives instead of healing you. This is a perk pairing that is very niche and honestly not the most amazing in terms of efficiency, but if used correctly it can provide wall hacks that the killer cannot remove for a short period of time. The best way to use this combo is to work on a generator for 40% worth of progress to activate your Wiretap, but don't use it on that same gen. You just want to finish completing it or until you've worked on it for about 45 seconds in order to prepare Repressed Alliance and Wiretap at the same time. Go and find yourself another gen, preferably one inside a tile with high walls or a main building to put your Wiretap on that generator. If Shack has a gen in it, then this works especially well. Obviously, if other survivors are working on a gen, it's best not to hinder their progress and use it on the one they're currently working on. If the killer is coming over to you, place your Wiretap on the generator and then use Repressed Alliance straight after, which blocks the generator for 30 seconds, giving you and your teammates aura reading within 14 meters of the generator. This is a great way to waste the killer's time while giving you amazing information in chase. These are 2 perks that can be so clutch in endgame situations. Also, a little tangent, but if you have the Eerie Shards, I highly recommend getting the new survivor Quante Young, as it's not often we get a survivor that has 3 great perks. Floor State is essentially a survivor's version of Freddy's perk Fire Up. Whenever a generator is completed, you gain a token, and for each token you have a 10% increase to Blessing, Cleansing, Healing and Unhooking. And it's the unhooking we're focusing on in this instance, as when pairing it with Desperate Measures, for each downed, injured or hooked survivor you unhook 20% faster. Depending on the hooked or injured states of your teammates, this can give you a potential 110% unhooking speed, which is insanely fast. Honourable mentions of pairing this perk also with No One Left Behind, which increases the unhook animation by a further 100%. This essentially makes the unhook animation happen quicker than the killer can swing and recover from, giving you a decent amount of time to make some distance so the unhook survivor can take the endurance hit. The only downside is that you don't really want to bring 3 perks all centered around unhooking really, and that's why the increased healing speed from Desperate Measures works better in this situation, in case you need to reset a teammate before trying to coordinate the save. This is the best way to get the most out of your pallets. Working on a gem for 20% worth of progress will activate a Chem Trap, allowing you to put it on a drop pallet for 60 seconds. Doing this can result in one of 2 scenarios really. If you have a chainsaw killer like Billy or Bubba, then they're just going to break the pallet, allowing you to make distance. But a lot of killers will just try and play around it, especially on a filler tile. If you outplay them on this loop, then you can simply go back and pick it up with any means necessary. One of my favourite perks in the game, honestly. Putting Chem Trap on a God pallet is also a great option, as it's a pallet the killer has to break in order to catch up to you, and they'll have a much tougher time doing so as a result. An honourable mention is pairing this combo with Champion of Light, as if the killer does break the trap pallet, then you can make distance while blinding the killer and hindering their movement speed in the process, giving you a great amount of distance. I absolutely love these 2 perks, and because their pick rate is quite low, killers don't really expect you to have them. Diversion lets you throw a pebble in the direction of your choice after spending 20 seconds in a killer's terror radius while not in chase, giving them a visual notification of where the pebble lands. And Deception allows you to open a locker without getting into it, also giving the killer a noise notification like you would have jumped inside of it, and you also leave no scratch marks for 3 seconds. A little tip is to try and use Diversion in the direction of a window or a gen that's not being worked on. This will fool them into thinking that somebody is in that location. Pairing these 2 together is one of the funniest things you can do in this game if it works. It's a great time waster, and watching from a distance as the killer goes to investigate the noise, just knowing you've confused them is a great feeling. Is it the most productive way to spend a time in a trial? Definitely not. But if you're here for a good time, or the game is not looking very winnable, and you just want to goof around, then just give these 2 perks a try and watch the killer lose their shit trying to understand what the hell is happening. So there we have it, my friends. 10 perk combos for you to have a go at to spice up your Survivor games. One thing making this video has taught me is that the most popular Survivor perks are that way for a reason, but that can leave us crutching on them way too hard. There's so many second chance perks out there which will definitely help to extend chase, but after spending a couple of weeks trying these pairings, I gotta say that my looping skills have improved simply because I'm not relying on the meta perks as much. I'm more engaged in chases knowing I don't have an exhaustion perk to rely on where I can just switch my brain off and not really have to think about it. Also, I get it, these ideas may not be everybody's cup of tea and they're not the strongest. You may not get value from them every game, because I'll be completely honest, I didn't. It took me quite a while. Problem is that near enough every killer is going to bring slowdowns or the most effective perks for them, and most survivors will compensate by doing the same. That's just the competitive nature of this game. My takeaway for you guys is just to try and see if you can get some value from these perks, and don't let the game stagnate. There's a lot of negativity in the DBD community right now, with the neglect coming from the killer role, people faking toxic content for views, the servers cutting off frequently, and the general burnout that comes with playing a game with so many problems for too long. So at the risk of sounding cheesy, be the change you want to see in this game. Have fun, and try not to take it so seriously. Alright folks, take care, I'll catch you in the next one.